So if you think about Star Trek, you had Commander Data and you had this ship that could literally do everything itself. But yet the humans still made the calls on all the important things. They still pressed the button, they still told the computer to do things, right? Even though the computer could have done all that stuff itself. They were still the ones saying, "Hey, let's do this. Let's go warp 9, let's do this. Let's shields up," stuff of that nature. However, if you watch certain episodes, you know that the ship could do all that without the commands of the humans, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
so I still think it's important for humans to be in the loop of that and to be in charge of some of that. If you go to the Star Wars side, though, it was a lot more chaotic. If you didn't have the Force and using the Force, people were poor and they had problems and stuff. And so at a certain point, you got to think about like, what society you want to live in. Do you want to live in the Star Wars society where if you didn't have the Force, the war just ran over you and you were part of a bunch of poor colonies out in space? Or do you want to be more on the Star Trek side where everything is enhanced of what you can do with the systems at hand, but the systems at hand aren't in control. They aren't rolling over you. They're made for the greater good of everybody. And so if you
Star
think
Wars
about
is
that,
where automation goes wrong.
yeah,
This is
100%.
that's a fantastic example.
100%. The Death Star was definitely a method of death. And in Star Trek, you have some people outside of the Federation that may be more of a different mentality. But if you look at the way the Federation operates, if you're a Star Trek fan, you can understand it was very computerized. Everything could have been done by computers. In fact, there was no reason for computers to exist. You even had the cyborg, right? Cyborg could do everything. But the major critical thinking, the major creativity, the major thought processes were all still done by the humans.
Well, there was one series where the ship actually achieved consciousness, but I'm gonna geek out because I'm a Trekkie.
Yeah, but it's a far left example. If you look at the main Star Wars, the main Star Trek kind of lineage of Next Generation and the original Star Trek, and even like Voyager and some of those. Well, we're getting really geeky now. Deep Space Nine, they all kind of had the same
Bonus
type of
episode,
thing, right?
bonus
Yeah,
episode.
Yeah.
But those are all really incredible points too, because we're dealing with something that we don't yet understand. And even if we do understand it, what it is today isn't going to be the same as what it is tomorrow. So I think some of the takeaways for the AI burnout is that the human component still matters. Observe your tools, observe your people. Make sure you've got the right person sitting in the right chair, the right tool for the job.